Sweeping the Porch, Poems by Sharon Perkins Ackerman, Pine Row Press, 2026, a review by Frederick Wilbur. Perhaps any work of art is multifaceted, to be analyzed and appreciated in many ways. All art is biography. Sharon Perkins Ackerman's third poetry collection, Sweeping the Porch, may be read as memoir, as nature-inflected poetry, and as poetry deeply rooted in place. Beneath these layers runs a spiritual attentiveness that gives the collection much of its emotional resonance. The theme of memory is pervasive in the 73 poems of this collection. Questions regarding the meaning of time occur unabashedly in the poem A Field Guide to Time, and with frequent references throughout to different aspects and appearances of the moon, to different times of day, quote, 3 kinds of twilight, and to the turning seasons with poems titled Late Summer Memory, Fall Equinox, and The Cove at Season's End. Ackerman's memories of family are honest and positive, with only occasional disappointment. Though the relationship of the persona, which we recognize as the poet herself, to her mother is addressed in a number of poems. In Kitchen Table, she states, quote, "My mama can't cook for dirt." And in the next stanza notes, quote, "Try as I might, I can't find the heart of this family." The speaker seems satisfied that the knife cuts in the tabletop equate preparing food together to, quote, "An onion sliced in half shows us the myriad roots to its center." Any difficulty with Mama sneaks in another time when the speaker asks her an innocuous question and she hears, quote, "the stream inside her splash back," which seems to be an impatient reply. The poem's relationship with her father seems less fraught or nuanced, seems one of admiration from a young girl's point of view. 2 poems illustrate this. Box Fan describes the father placing the fan in a window to draw hot air out of the house. But, quote, "if there is allegory in the wheel's spin, none of us are the wiser." The young persona discovers, quote, "the wind my father turned inside out." The second instance is in Inheriting My Father's Watch, when the father is described as, quote, "a man who comes home each night." Grandparents are also part of Ackerman's growing up. She describes her grandmother's gardening and her grandfather's coal mining. In For Love of Small Things, she describes her grandmother walking to her garden and concludes, quote, "every time I watch her walk off, I learn a little more about who I am." Ackerman clearly places family and herself in a rural setting, specifically Perry County, Kentucky, as one poem title proclaims. Most place names are occasional, though presumably in Appalachia. In looking back to her girlhood, the poet describes herself in the third person, in several instances, to blur the demarcation between poet and persona. Quote, "and what lengthens here, if not the girl with stick and calluses, who climbs, she thinks, toward light." Another example is, quote, "I ask as a child." In this vein, Ackerman relates typically, quote, "eternally kids' antics." In the Norfolk Southern poem, the poet and her sister play a little chicken with the diesel engine and makes the horn blow its horsepower. This place poetry is squarely in the tradition of William Wordsworth, Robert Frost, Gary Snyder, Wendell Berry, Ron Rash, Fred Chappell, and many others. Even with this collection's tight sense of time and place, the poet balances her lyrical world of memory with the larger society beyond. For example, in the first poem of Sweeping the Porch, a dry spell in July, they say, is climate change, Ackerman references the atomic bomb. Quote, there will be no return to that time before the cloud. She does not write blatantly political or social comment poems, however, but has a deeper read of humanity through her own experiences. What makes this collection come alive is her surprising phrases. There are some arresting combinations of words in most every poem. Quote, until the sky breaks tether. Quote, a fence halts the eye. And, quote, undressing the day. Ackerman hints at personal doubts or misgivings in these poems, yet these are not confessional screeds, ugly guilts, or, quote, a heavy package of grief. Her memoir narrative is rarely sufficient to bog the reader down in disingenuous drama. She does state confidently, quote, I too have scars and have grown somehow around them, in the poem Beech Tree, and laments that, quote, so much of life is unwitnessed, in the poem Crooked Trees. Ackerman has swept the porch in the sense of revealing her past life, quote, bearing up loneliness embittered, yet pronounces, when the porch is clean, a recognition that, quote, all of us are strangely happy to let darkness consume us in peace. This collection warrants careful read, an immersion into the organic connections of place and person, nature and self.